I want you to know I made this video especially for you. If you're interested in building lifetime patience and clients, in fact, it's very, very simple to build lifetime patience and clients once you understand the science of marketing. The problem is that people who you've been listening to and who've been teaching you how to build lifetime patients and clients just simply do not understand the science of marketing. And as a consequence, what they've taught you is very ineffective. I want you to realize once you understand the science, which I'm going to lay out for you in this video, you literally will be able to quadruple, that's right, I said quadruple, the revenue you generate as more and more people will become lifetime patients and clients. And ultimately, you'll find you'll no longer get objections. You'll no longer get patients or clients that say they have to get the okay from their spouse or loved one. And you'll have to do very little reactivation because you won't lose many of the patients and clients. Now, some of you are not going to watch this video, and that's very unfortunate because this video contains everything you need to build lifetime patients and clients. And as I said, quadruple your income. I suggest you seriously set aside the time, watch this video from beginning to end because it will change your practice. So today we're going to talk about how to fill up your practice with new patients and clients motivated to work with you, how to convert your new patients and clients from pain and symptom patients and clients to health and wellness patients and clients, how to stop the high rate of patient and client dropouts, how to get your patients and clients to reactivate themselves, how to easily get people on social media to want to come to see you, why table talk or citing research rarely works to convert patients and clients to lifetime care, why you have been branded as a pain specialist and how to take advantage of that, and why your technique and how you practice has little to no effect on getting new patients and clients, and really it only matters to you. So what I want you to realize is that this presentation only has images on it and there's no text. And the reason for that is that when you communicate with your patients or clients, they only are able to make decisions based on the unconscious part of their brain that ultimately doesn't even know how to read words, but rather is only stimulated by images. The problem is that the part of the brain that is emotionally connected to making decisions can't even read words. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. So realize that people only respond to emotion. The part of the brain where they make all their decisions is the emotional part of the brain. It's the only part of the brain. So you need to talk to and stimulate the emotional part of their brains if you want them to follow your recommendations, become patients and clients, and literally become lifetime patients. And we know that 95% of everything you do with your patients and clients, whether it be your marketing, your report of findings, your case history, everything must appeal to the limbic part of the brain because that is where they make all their decisions. And only 5% should really be directed towards the rational part of their brain because the rational part of their brain is not where they make any of those decisions. We know there are two systems in the brain. System one is that limbic part of the brain. It's unconscious. It works very, very fast. It's associative with their emotions and their memory, and it's on automatic pilot. 5% is what's system two, and that is the conscious brain. And that part of the brain is very slow, takes a lot of energy to work. It's very indecisive, and people do not like to use it. What is it that appeals mostly to that limbic part of the brain? Well, everyone is self-centered. That's the number one thing. It's always about them. It's not about you. That same part of the brain also is very attracted to contrast, light and dark, happy and sad, night and day. It also only processes images, not written language. And I'm stimulating the part of your brain to show you an example of what you need to do when you're working with patients and clients, the things you put on social media, because remember, the goal of this is to teach you how to make lifetime patients and clients. Now, if you're a chiropractor, which many of you are that are listening to this, one of the problems is you use something called table talk. Now, table talk, in most cases, you have patients face down or on their side, or even if they're lying on their back, they're thinking about what you're going to do if you're going to adjust them, twist their neck, adjust their back, whatever it might be. But what they're not seeing images. You can't see images when your face is in a hole. So everything you do with table talk has very little effect on ever converting pain and symptom patients to actual lifetime patients. But that part of the brain is also very attracted to graphs and images. Now, how do we know that works so well? Well, we could ask Google, because Google knows that the part of the brain that people are most attracted to, where they make all their emotional decisions, is really in that limbic part of the brain. It's system 1 of the brain. And that's why this 5-star Google review thing became one of the most powerful social proofs there is to get people to react, to work with you. And that's why you always want to increase the number of Google reviews you have. The other thing we know is that the limbic part of the brain, the older brain, the system 1 part of the brain, it really needs in the first 3 seconds to feel warm and fuzzy to be able to continue to get the information you want them to have. Now, that's very interesting, because you know now that Instagram and TikTok and YouTube Shorts, even Reels and even stories on Facebook, they literally try to get your attention in the first 3 seconds. And if they don't get your attention, what happens is they thumb away. So the first 3 seconds of that part of the brain makes them feel warm and fuzzy, or what I call safe and secure. So anything you do needs to grab their attention immediately, because what are they really ultimately looking for? They really are looking for a light at the end of the tunnel. Now, here's the problem with all of you, or every one of you. And the problem is there are gurus that are teaching you this stuff, who are selling things to you, who don't really understand how people make decisions. And as a consequence, very few people become lifetime patients and clients. The minority does, and most of you have more dead files than you have live files. So here's an example. So we use research to get people to make a decision about lifetime care. And the problem is that part of the brain cannot make a decision. And all that does to that part of the brain is say to that part of the brain, hey, they're telling me all this research. Maybe I need to do more research because I don't have enough information. And you're doing that while the patient is lying on a table. If you're a chiropractor, the end result of that is that table talk is one of the least effective ways to convert patients. And number 2, research is even less effective. Now, if you can appeal to the 95% of their limbic system and get them to make a decision to work with you, then they use their rational brain to justify the decision they made. But most of you lead with the research. Here you have a person laying down on a table, face in a hole, trying to talk them into becoming lifetime patients. No visual stimulus. Their mind is concentrating on something else. And while they're laying there, you're telling them about all this great research. It has zero value, which is why table talk pretty much has a zero value. Now, here again, we want them to think how important it is, everything we're telling them, but we're not stimulating the part of the brain when they're on your table and when they're getting adjusted. As a consequence, none of that stuff has any value in making that conversion. They respond to images. They don't respond to your telling them what is appealing to their rational brain. It's appealing to your rational brain. That's why you're doing it, but it does not appeal to their rational brain. Images, charts, graphs, those things all appeal to their rational brain, but most of you don't even use that. If you're a health coach, you think, I'm going to tell them how many programs I'm certified in, because certifications show how much knowledge you have. But once again, that appeals to their rational brain, which is only 5% used in making a decision, rather than the limbic part of the brain, the emotional part of the brain, the oldest part of the brain, where 95% is made. Now, let's talk about the things that you're going to do to appeal to the 95% that's going to help them make a decision. So it's all about them. So again, you want to propose what it is that the benefit they're going to get, not the benefit you're going to get, not how great you are, not about all your great things that you do, your certifications, your techniques. It's what's in it for them, which will help them make that decision. Remember, you also have to use contrast, because that part of the brain is finds contrast very, very appealing. In addition to that, you must use images, because that part of the brain is only stimulated by images. Charts and graphs is another example of what will stimulate the limbic part, helping them make a decision about switching from pain and symptom relief to actually health, wellness, and becoming a lifetime patient or client. And of course, in doing that, you want to give them the light at the end of the tunnel that they're ultimately looking for. Now, here's really where the problem lies. You are seen by the population, whether you're a chiropractor, you're a health coach, it doesn't matter. You're seen as a relief of symptoms. Last month, as you could see by this picture here, and I know there's a lot of words on this picture, but the image is what is really why it's an image. And the brain sees images in certain ways. But I'm going to tell you what this one says. Of the 550,000 searches, in this case, we're using chiropractor as an example, not one of those searches were for health and wellness. They were all for symptoms. Why? Well, they weren't all for symptoms. They were one for symptoms, and number two, who is the lowest price and who can I get to pay for this? So nothing was there about wellness, because we've trained the public that we are a pain specialist. If you're a health coach, you've trained the public that you're going to help them with some other symptom. So realize that people are not searching for health and wellness. They're searching for pain relief or symptom relief. You need to, that's how they come to you. But you could use that to your advantage if you know how to switch them from pain and symptoms to lifetime care, which I'm going to teach you how to do right now. Also, I want you to realize there was nothing about technique. So thinking that your technique is going to save you and people are going to search for the specific technique that you do, you're just fooling yourself. That's your rational brain fooling you. The next thing is everything you do to a patient that comes to you for pain relief or symptom relief justifies that they're in the right place. Now, you have to do these things. So you do a case history, and in your case history, what happens? You're talking about what that problem is, how long it's taken, how long it's going on, what makes it better, what makes it worse. Maybe you do family history. Yes, you need to do that, but what you're saying is, yes, I'm a pain specialist. You want patients to be lifetime health and wellness people, but you're justifying why they came to you, which you need to do, but you're saying, yes, I am a pain specialist. The next thing that happens is you take x-rays if you're a chiropractor, and what does that say? I'm looking for your pain. Now, I'm not saying not to do this. You definitely need to do this. That's your obligation, or at least send them somewhere for those diagnostic tests. But once again, what is it saying? It's saying you're in the pain business. That's terrific, but how do you get them from the pain business to the health and wellness business? Your exam, regardless of what your exam is geared towards one thing. It's showing them, yes, I'm looking for your pain. What's causing your pain? As a consequence, you are once again saying, guess what? I am a pain specialist. And that's why they're there. But the conversion from I'm a pain specialist to a lifetime patient or client is just the total opposite of what you're actually doing. If you're a health coach and using lab tests, what are you saying to them? The lab tests are going to show me what the problem is. It's so if you have a symptom and you come to me as a functional medicine person, a health coach, whatever it is, Once again, you're showing them, yes, I'm in the right place. I am looking for your problem. It's hard to take someone from looking for your problem to a lifetime care, because when you solve their problem, they think they're done and you want to keep them coming. That's not going to work. So everyone that comes to you expects results. They're coming to you for a pain or symptom. You justify that you can find what their pain or symptom is with your exams and your case history and your lab testing, whatever it is. They expect that. Then you lay out a game plan that involves money. And what happens when it involves money? Well, they're coming to you. Here's a critical light bulb for you. When they come to you, they think you're going to do something or give them something that's going to take away their pain or symptom. That's the expectation. The expectation is you're an expert in pain or whatever the symptom is, so you're going to solve their problem. The problem is most people have come to you from another healthcare provider who tried to satisfy the exact same expectations. They came for them to do something or give them something to relieve their pain or get rid of their pain. It didn't work. So now they come to you for this with the same expectation. And up until this point, you're trying to satisfy an expectation they have that's unrealistic. I am going to do something or give you something to get rid of your pain. That's the worst thing that you could do. Now you tell them about the money aspect of it, and what happens? They start objecting. So what do? You go and learn from so-called gurus how to handle objections, but realize the reason that you have to handle objections is because you accepted the fact that their expectation was you are going to do something or give them something to get rid of their pain. And ultimately, the problem is they think that's going to happen instantaneously. Now you're telling them it's going to take a lot of time and a lot of money. So they're objecting. It's either I can't afford it, I need to speak to my spouse, my significant other, or whatever it might be. So you have to learn objections. Objections are only necessary because you create the need for those. You got to get away from that. Now, when they come to you, what is their game plan? Well, they came to you with a symptom or a pain, and they're highly motivated. Why are they highly motivated? They're highly motivated because their pain is visible to them. They have a visible problem, visible meaning they're feeling it or seeing it, whatever it might be. So they're totally motivated on their own to come to get rid of that. That motivation has nothing to do with you. You are the person they come to because they see you as the pain specialist, but they're not motivated because of you. They're motivated by their symptom. And guess what happens? You make the great mistake of getting them out of pain or getting rid of their symptom. You think that's such a great thing, and they think it's a great thing. But now you've made that visible problem invisible. And so what do we know? When you make a pain or a problem invisible, the motivation they had disappears. Now, let me tell you about people, because this is critically important. People are only motivated by what's visible. An example is most people can't save for retirement. Why? Because the end result of where they're going to be in 20, 30, 40 years is invisible. So as a consequence, they can't put any money away because they don't see the goal because it's now invisible to them. The reason that people don't lose weight is simply because the end result of all that work to lose weight is invisible to them, where that chocolate sundae on the dessert menu or the ice cream section when they're walking down the supermarket is the visible piece. So they can't stick with a diet. Now, if we look at exercise, there's more research. Remember we talked about you're telling people, appealing to the 5% of the rational brain, how research is why they need to continue as lifetime patients and clients. There's more research on exercise than anything you could throw at them, and yet most people don't exercise. Why? Because the end result of exercise is something they can't see. so they don't stick with it. They make New Year's resolutions and ultimately they don't even keep those. If you do lab tests, if you're a functional medicine practitioner or a health coach, what do you know happens sometimes? You start out the program, you show them their lab work, which is great because it's about me, and we know that appeals to the limbic system. It's charts and graphs, we know that appeals to the limbic system. But all of a sudden, what happens is sometimes those lab results, when you first start working with them, get worse. And you're now having to try to figure out a way to convince them getting worse is better. If you're a chiropractor, sometimes when you treat them and they get worse the next day, then you're going to talk them into understanding why they get worse. Whether it's true or not, the problem is in their mind, there's a problem here. And when the problem is that now you've lost their motivation, you have a lab test that gets worse, and all of a sudden this patient decides, I have no motivation. Why am I paying this person? Maybe the symptom's gone, even though the lab's results got worse. Maybe the symptom's gone and you got rid of their pain. Good for you. Good for them. But now they don't understand why they're coming because you have not really made the transition from a pain and symptom patient to a wellness patient because you never appealed to the limbic part of their brain. You keep trying to appeal to the rational 5%. It makes no sense. So what do you do next? We're going to reactivate them. Well, let me tell you something. Make the choice yourself. Which is better? Someone who's proactive or someone who's reactive? Well, we know if you try to reactivate someone, what happens is they don't want to take your call. Your staff doesn't want to make that call. There are people out there telling you all the great potential of people that you have that you could reactivate. And the reality is they don't answer your phone call. They don't answer your text. And if you do connect with them, this is what they say. Oh, yes, I've been meaning to come in. And when you get them to come in, do you think they're coming in as lifetime patients? No, they come back believing that the minor symptom that came back, you're going to get rid of this time even faster, and then they're going to leave again. So reactivation sucks. And you think that's a great way to build. So what do we need to do? We need to change their mindset. That is the critical piece here, change their mindset. There's only one way to change their mindset, and that is to be able to get them to appeal, to the limbic part of their brain from day one. You're appealing to the pain part that came in for, you're justifying through your exam, your case history, all the things you do that you are a pain specialist. But equally important, or maybe more important, at the same moment when they start care, fill out your forms, go to your website, make that phone call, you need to start changing their mindset. You have to take them from pain to function and explain simply this to them. And it's true. I'm going to tell you something that's true, so I want you to listen carefully here. This is the important piece. People who function at 100% don't have pain or symptoms. Pain or symptoms is an end result of something not functioning properly. You know that, and I know that. The problem is the patient or client doesn't know that. They have been trained, conditioned to believe, if I have a pain or symptom, I'm going to go to somebody who's going to give me something or do something to get rid of my pain. That's their expectation. Everything you do up to this point is to confirm their expectation. And the reason the other people failed is because you can't fix somebody by meeting their expectation if their expectation is you're going to give them or do something to get rid of their pain. So what do you need to do? You need to, from day one, square one, show them that the reason they have that problem is the result of a functional problem. Now, the truth of the matter is everyone listening to this is a functional specialist. Do you want to be a pain specialist or a functional specialist? You know as well as I do, it takes much longer to restore function than to get rid of pain. Now, some people can get rid of pain right away, but ultimately some people take much longer. But unless you restore function, you literally are not going to ever convert that patient to understand that it's the functional problem, not the pain problem. There's only one tool that actually does that. It's called the Functional Health Management Score. This is the only tool that will change their mindset and is as, if not more important, than the case history when you get a new client or patient. And let me explain to you why this works so well. This has been designed. I am the designer. I hired the programmers to develop this. And this is why it works and why you must use this in your practice. Number one, it appeals to them. It's all about them. Number two, it shows them the contrast between a well-functioning person and a non-well-functioning person. It's all about images. It's all about graphs and charts, and it gives them a light at the end of the tunnel, a goal. There's nothing else that will do this. This is why this tool is so critically important, because you don't have one in your office, in your practice, that will do that and start converting a pain patient to a functional patient. Now, listen, if you have a patient and you say to them, look, you have a pain problem, and the reason that you have a pain problem is because people who don't have good function have symptoms and pain. You're thinking that you have a pain problem, but that's the end result of a functional problem. But this is your lucky day. You know why? I am a functional specialist, and you are a functional specialist. Now, here's the thing that you have to realize. If they've been to other practitioners, I always say, ask them this question. Do you think that the other doctors you've seen, the other health coaches you've seen, the other functional medicine people you've seen are stupid? Well, they go, no. Well, they're not stupid, but what is the mistake? You come there with an expectation that they're going to do something or give you something that's going to get rid of your pain, and they try to meet your expectation. You can't solve someone's problem by meeting an expectation that is a false expectation. The only thing that anyone could do to fix somebody, minus a pathology, of course, is they have to restore function. So why do you want to try to do something or give them something that ultimately is going to make you fail and they're going to leave, which is what you currently do? The end result is you want to give them a reason that they have that problem and give them a goal using the limbic part of their brain, and only the Functional Health Management Score does that. Now, most of you have heard of what's called cardiomobile. And cardiomobile commercials, if you've ever seen them, they ask the person on the commercial, how's your heart? And the person goes, well, I guess it's okay. And they go, how do you know? And the person goes, I don't know. So they then hand them the cardiomobile mobile device. They put their fingers on the device. It tells them immediately how their heart's doing. Now, guess what? They sold 8 million cardiomobiles because people want to know how their heart's doing. The Functional Health Management Score that I just showed you, the Functional Health Management Score that appeals to the limbic system, was built the same way as the cardiomobile. So we asked the question to all patients, whether it's on social media, new patients, whatever it is, how's your health? And they go, well, I think it's good. And you say, how do you know? And there's only one way for them to know, and that is to take the Functional Health Management Score. The Functional Health Management Score is not a mechanical device. It lives on your website, and simply you send them a link to fill out on the same page as your case history, or you do this when you run an ad on social media asking them how their health is. It takes them to your website. Now they're already on your website. And guess what happens? It's now all about them. And it starts asking them questions that are relevant to them. Now, you see that little QR code, and you could go ahead at any time, take a picture of that, and do your own Functional Health Management Score. I would say don't do that right now, but definitely do it. Take a picture now, and you could use it later on your phone. Now, realize this. It's like magic to the patient's limbic system. It's the miracle that changes them from pain patient to a lifetime patient and client, because it makes them think no longer about pain being their problem. They no longer have an expectation that you're going to get rid of their pain and or their symptom, although you will. but you're going to do it by restoring function. So now when they go home and their spouse says, what was the problem? What did the doctor say? Or what did the health coach say? Or what did the functional medicine guru say? They said the reason I have pain is I have a functional problem. My body's not functioning properly. That's a whole different story than saying I'm going to see you 12 times in the next month, and then we'll reevaluate you, and next month we'll do these many, or we're going to do these many lab tests and repeat those lab tests, because ultimately you still have those people thinking all this time and all this money looking for my pain. No, you're telling them from day one what the pain or symptoms from. It's a functional problem. So now they are no longer thinking pain. They're no longer thinking symptom. They're thinking function. And guess what? The functional health management score ultimately gives them a goal of, I want to be more functional. So when they fill out the questionnaire, which you're going to do yourself to see the power of it, those questions are all derived from going to a pharmacy, a drugstore, and to a supermarket and looking at what do people accept as normal symptoms related to pain or any other symptom that they're buying all this over-the-counter stuff for. So it automatically makes them think about them, what they're doing, what their habits are, and what they think is normal, why it's not normal, and they get a score. And now all of a sudden they go, my God, I thought I was healthy. How's your health? How do you know? They don't know. The end result of that is they get a score. And that score, when you go over your report of findings or what your game plan is, your basically case that you're going to present to them that you want them to pay for, they now think to themselves, what am I going to do to increase my function in my body? Because I now know I have a functional problem. Pain is the symptom or the related to my functional problem. So now you could walk them through the path of getting them more functional. How long does it take someone to get someone more functional? Well, it takes a lot longer than in most cases to get them out of pain, if you get them out of pain. Right now, we've created this monster, if you're a chiropractor, that you're going to get a patient they can watch on YouTube no matter what their pain or problem is, and we're going to lay you down and pull that Y strap on your head and do a ring dinger, and you're going to need one visit. So guess what? It justified to them. Ultimately, you're going to do something to get rid of my pain and symptom when that's not true. It's great for YouTube's views, but it's not great for building your practice. But when you add function, which is basically you're a functional expert, let's face it, when you add functional expert and you have a tool now to engage them in functional expert, what happens? What happens is the revenue you generate skyrockets. Why? Because you don't have to convince them to keep coming. They're already convinced because they want to be more functional. The end result of being more functional, you win because they're going to keep coming and you're not going to have to keep figuring out how am I convince them to keep coming when they're no longer in pain or have the symptom, and everything you've done like table talk or presenting them with studies or research has no effect when they got their face laying in a hole or their lab test got worse or it's not getting better even though they're symptom free. So the patient actually gets healthier. Number two, what happens is the patient's also happier, and they're happy to keep coming. They're happy because they're getting functionally better. And if their pain's gone, their functional health management score, when you redo it, and of course you're going to redo that on a regular basis, that's going to slowly get better. It doesn't have to go from F to A to get better. It can go from a 68 to a 72, and they're thrilled. And what happens? They run around telling all their friends and family members, I finally found someone that knows what's wrong with me. And look, I'm getting better function out of my body, so my symptoms are going away. It's not that you did something to get rid of their pain, not that you did something to get rid of the symptom. It's because they're functioning better and you have the proof. So now they want to go from F to A, and they will stick with you and keep doing that. Now, here's the best part of it. You ready for this? Now, one of the things I want to tell you with the functional health management score, we do give you best practices and how to use it. But here's the more important thing. You've taken the invisible, if you've gotten rid of their pain and symptom, and you made it visible. Once again, people are only motivated by what's visible to them. Now they have a chart, a graph that keeps changing. You see that speedometer in there. And that now has made the visible part. And now what was invisible after you made the big mistake of getting them out of pain or symptoms, and I'm being facetious, now you've given them something that appeals to the limbic brain, pictures, graphs, and ultimately light at the end of the tunnel, and all the things we spoke about, contrast between FD, CBA, and all the things that's appealing to the limbic part of the brain. You got locked in now. Emotionally, they're committed to their functional improvement thanks to you. And again, I said you'll do that test by using that QR code. Now, here's another part that's incredibly important for you, and that is when somebody is trying to get themselves more functional, thanks to you and the functional health management score, it gives you the opportunity for lifestyle intervention. Do you do supplementation in your office? Do you do diet? Do you do talk about exercise? Well, guess what? When they know that exercise, a good diet, nutrition, sleeping well, all those, reducing stress, when they realize that's all part of the functional picture, do you think it's going to be easier or harder to get them to think about a good diet? It's going to be easier. When you tell them, look, we've gotten your functional score here, the next step to get it here is going to be through a nutritional program. We do that in our office, or we do that in our practice. So now you have a motivation to add the other things. They no longer see as just that, oh, now I got to buy vitamins. No, they see it as now I'm going to be more functional. This is amazing. So the end result of that, as I said, is your revenue will be driven amazingly higher. The patients will be happier. The patients will be more functional because they're going to do things to become more functional. And they're going to run around telling everybody. We've again made the invisible once again visible to them. And the part that's visible is no longer the motivation of pain and symptoms. It's wanting to be more functional. Now, if you take a look at the standard practice, primarily franchises, a franchise is extremely limited. And the reason a franchise is limited is because they're using price to get people in their office. Well, a lot of you are trying to compete with this ever-growing franchise model, but the reality is you can't compete on price. They will kill you with price. But the person who could convince a patient through the use of the functional health management score that they have a functional problem, which they do, that person is willing to do whatever it takes to become more functional. That means when you add, if you're a chiropractor, to your adjustment, or you're a health practitioner like a health coach or a functional medicine doctor, when you add the nutrition piece, the diet piece, the other things that you do, all of a sudden, instead of being limited on how much you could charge that patient, ultimately, there is no limit. Now, let me tell you something else. Where pricing power is, lifestyle is where pricing power is. How do I know that? I know that because regardless of the economy, people are spending billions of dollars on lifestyle, even if no one's covering it. So here's the question to ask yourself. If people are already spending money on something, they see the importance of it and are willing to spend money on it, the question becomes, why not offer something in your office that they're already wanting paying for? You could just do it better. And so the functional health management score gives you the ability to be able to do that. So ultimately, you now have revenue generation because you could bring back pricing power into your office. So what's the next step? The next step is very simple. The next step is you're going to go ahead, if you've not done this already, and you're going to take the functional health management score yourself. You just have to use that QR code and go fill it out. You're going to see the end result. My suggestion is have your staff do it also, because they're going to be shocked and you're going to be shocked at what the score is. Doctors tell me all the time, they didn't realize that their function was so low, and their staff didn't realize it. And let me tell you something else, and I want you to realize this. Tell your staff when they do the functional health test not to tell all their friends and family how wonderful this is if you don't have that test. because they send them to my link and I get all those results instead of you. So explain to them, this is something you're going to be using in the office and not to share it until you get yours on your website. And we do all that for you. Now, here's the kicker of the whole thing and why this is so important. And you're going to take the test. You're going to see the value of the whole thing. Realize this, the functional health management score, and you could decide to buy this or not. And I'm not asking you to make that decision. I want you to take the test. When you do the test and see the results based on everything I just taught you, you're going to realize you cannot have this in your office. Number one, it's half price. So you're going to get it for, if you sign up for it and decide to do it, it's only $50 a month. How much is a lifetime patient or client worth to you? Is one patient worth $50 a month? How about all your patients, or 80 or 90% of your patients becoming lifetime patients with the dream of becoming more functional? Is that worth $50 a month? We think it is, but it's half price now. The second thing is we give you all the video ads, believe it or not, that you can run on social media to drive people to your website. These ads ask a very simple question. How's your health and how do you know? And people love it. They just click on that baby. So we even build the ads for you. We give you 18 ads. We throw that in as part of the package. And the other thing is no contract. Why? We don't need a contract. No one leaves. The reason no one leaves, if you follow what we teach you how to do, then ultimately you realize that why would you ever stop doing something that generates so much revenue and changes the whole focus of your practice to something that you could never do before? Why people still do table talk, it's one of the worst things. It does so little. Reactivation, we all know, sucks. No one likes it. No one wants to do it. And no one wants to be reactivated. And using what everyone tells you as, show them the research. Yeah, show them the research after they make decisions. Don't show them the research with their face in a hole or with a lab test that already has gotten worse than the first one, thinking, well, they're going to listen to me. But the part of their brain where they make those decisions have nothing to do with what you're telling them or showing them. That is their rational brain, and they can't make rational decisions. That only confuses them and gives the opposite effect. You must appeal to their limbic brain. So now you know the science behind building lifetime patients and clients. It's very, very simple. It's very, very easy to do. Don't be fooled. Building lifetime patients and clients is very simple. It works 90% of the time because it's simply built on science. I look forward to talking with you soon.
How's your health? Are you in pain? Do you have vitality or fatigue? Discover the truth with our functional health management score. Take the test now.